Why do you think America got itself into such a terrible mess economically? What do you think was the problem?
Greed, and because no one wanted to tell anybody the truth. The truth was you can't continue to spend the kind of money you're spending on all these entitlement programs. I think we need more people in public life who are willing to say no. We can't afford certain things. No, we can't do certain things. We've got to wind up being honest with people. And I think we got ourselves in this mess because some people in the financial industry became incredibly short-sighted and greedy, and we had government officials who refused to say no.
We obviously have a situation where a lot of bankers and banks have been bailed out by the taxpayer, effectively, and then having made their money back, the first thing they do is award themselves massive bonuses all over again. Have they learned any lessons? Would you have done something different to stop them being able to do that?
I probably wouldn't have done anything different to stop them to do that, except to use the power of the bully pulpit, if you're president, to call attention to it and to try to shame them into doing something different. I don't believe in that kind of heavy-handed regulation where we're saying, we're going to tell you how much you can pay people. But I do think that what really caused the problem was not so much the high pay, was just the incredibly risky securities that they were creating and selling and spreading kind of like a cancer through the system that really caused the incredible downturn that we had in 2008 and 2009.
Is it time, do you think, that the administration, the next president, whoever it may be, made domestic issues absolutely the primary? Because it seems that for the last 8-10 years, ever since 9/11 really, a lot of the focus has shifted to Iraq, to Afghanistan, the hunt for bin Laden, trillions of dollars being spent on these wars. Libya now we see blowing up, all the Middle East and everything. Where would your focus be right now for America?
Well, I think I talked about it when you asked about priorities. I think it's about creating private sector jobs, which is bringing more investment home. I think it's about getting our fiscal house in order, which means looking at every way we spend money.
Would you pull the troops out of Afghanistan now?
I wouldn't do it now, but I would be guided by what our military advisors told us to do. But I do think that capturing bin Laden and killing bin Laden was one of the real goals of the original Afghanistan intervention. And I'm not a nation-building kind of guy.
But America's had to be, by default, the world's policeman. And a lot of Americans I talk to are getting a bit fed up with spending all this money when there's so many problems at home on being the world's policeman. There are other superpowers emerging. Would you like to see a spreading of that load going forward, where America's not the go-to country for military support, for helping out with despotic regimes and so on?
Well, America's always got to be the leader in that regard.
Does it have to be?
I think it does.
Look at Libya and the way President Obama dealt with that. He quite deliberately decided America wasn't going to be the leader in that.
Yeah, but we really are. Let's face it, we are. He's calling the shots, and we all know that. And so let's not be kidding because they call it something different. America's taken the responsibility. Now, do I think there has to be shared sacrifice among other nations in the world who want a stable and secure world? Absolutely there has to be. But I don't think that America can ever abdicate its leadership role in the world because of who we are and where we've come from. We are the symbol for the world for freedom and liberty.
Is President Obama a leader?
I think he's a good leader, sure. Listen, he's the President of the United States. And, I disagree with him on a lot of substantive issues. But I'm not one of these people that says that somehow, he's not a legitimate leader. He was elected President of the United States. The people spoke on that issue.
And that's good enough for you?
It's a democracy. It's good enough for me.
What is your simple economic philosophy?
Well, there is a simple economic philosophy, but I believe in entrepreneurship. I believe in the power of the individual to create great wealth and great opportunity in this country. I look at somebody like Mark Zuckerberg, who I've gotten to know over time here in New Jersey, who, from his dorm room at Harvard, has created a worldwide phenomenon. Only in America could that happen.
Mark Zuckerberg gave $100 million for education, put into schools. This has been a huge deal for you, this battle you've had with the education unions. They've accused you of bullying them. You've been pretty vigorous in your response, saying that, if you want to go into teaching, the pay grade. There's no point squealing about it when you get there. If you don't like it, don't go into it.
Hey, listen, what I really want is accountability. And I think most great teachers want accountability. I mean, the teachers I had in this school that helped make me who I am, they were never feared accountability because they knew they were doing a great job and they watched children develop under their watch. And all I'm saying is that every child in New Jersey deserves the kind of education I got in this building. Every one of them does. And we're paying more per pupil per year than any state in America. So
I had dinner with one of your more famous residents recently who was complimentary and scathing about you in equal measure, and I won't say who it was. Where she was scathing was she said, if he believes so much in the education system in this state, why doesn't he send his children to a public school?
Well, that's none of her business. That's my choice and my wife's choice. We happen to believe that a religious education is an important part of an overall education for our children. So we've decided to send our children to Catholic school because we believe that. It's no shot on the public schools. I am a graduate of the public schools. My wife's a graduate of parochial schools. When our child became 5 years old, I wanted him to go to public school. She wanted him to go to parochial school. All of our kids go to parochial school. So you can figure out who wields the power in the Christie household. But I've come to agree with her that I think it's an important part of our children's growth as human beings. And so we've made that choice. But guess what? I still pay $38,000 a year in property taxes, most of which go to the public school system in my town, and we don't utilize it. And I don't complain about it because that's my responsibility as a citizen of my town and my state. But then don't tell me that I can't be serious about public education because I don't send my children there. Every child is my responsibility in this state. And that's the kind of liberal, know-nothing thinking that just drives me crazy.
I quite like that little exchange. I can see the fire welling up inside you.
Yeah, well, that kind of stuff annoys me.
I can see a bit of the real Christie there.
Well, that's just part of the real Christie. Because what you were seeing before is the real Christie, too. You're not just one type of person, and neither am I.
What are the biggest misconceptions about you?
Oh, that I'm, that I'm running around always being tough and angry and yelling and screaming. But if you bring up my children and my choice and my wife's choice about how we school our children, and that somehow that diminishes my voice and my leadership on education, that's such baloney, I can't stand it. So then you are going to see a little fire in response to that.
As someone who's admired you from afar but never met you before today, I'll admit that I was a little disappointed in Choppergate, as it became known, the helicopter argument. And the reason was that your prosecuting career had so clearly positioned you as a guy that was just completely anti all form of corruption or anything that looked like corruption. And when you just read a bare headline, governor uses state helicopter to fly to kids' baseball game, you sort of wince a bit. You go, well, why did you do that?
Because I'm a father first. And because I had demands at the State House and then demands that evening that had been pre-planned before I knew my son would have a state championship baseball game. And I wanted to be there for him. And I miss a lot of stuff with my kids, and I'm not complaining. That's the nature of my job, and I asked for this job. In fact, I worked hard to get it. But I'm a father first, and that was the way I could get to my son's game that day.
Do you regret it?
No, I make no apologies for it.
But you paid the money back?
Well, I paid the money back because I thought it was important to let the public know that I wasn't using this as a perk of office.
But wouldn't the traditional Christie route be, if you believed absolutely that what you'd done was the right thing, to say, no, I'm not paying the money back? It's the right thing. In a funny way, I would have preferred you to do that. I would have went, he's standing by his guns.
Wow.
When actually you're trying to have it both ways. You're giving the money back, so you're admitting it was wrong. But then you're looking at me and saying, I don't regret it.
No, I'm not admitting that it was wrong. What I'm saying is that if the public perceives for a moment that I'm using that as a perk of office, that I want to take that away from them right away. But I would not make a different decision if I had to do it again, because it was important for me as a father to be there for my son.
But given all the criticism you got, are you honestly telling me you would do that again?
Listen, I'm going to be the best father I can be, and I'm going to use whatever I have at my disposal to try to balance, the interests of my job, which I take extraordinarily seriously, and the interests of my children having me present in their lives.
Yeah, but would you do it again?
Yeah, I probably would. But I'd pay for it.
So that would be the difference?
Yeah, so I just would take the perception away from it.
Governor, going to have another break. And when we come back, I want to ask you what you feel guilty about as a good Catholic boy. You were always a bit of a high flyer here, president of everything, right?
Senior class, junior class, sophomore class, yeah, all the way through.
Yeah, even as you're saying that, your chest is puffing out.
Sure.
The pride.
Winning beats losing, Piers.